Welcome to my almost daily streams. I'm mayohosko. Thank you so much for watching. We're not building sets from the backlog today because we are reattempting to cover the year 1991 in the golden age of Lego. So we'll wait for some people in the chat and then we'll start scrolling through the sets because 1991 is a special year in my mind for the Lego group because of a few factors, and one of them is the 9-volt trains. So before the stream started, we had Hoarder and Dina. Let's see if they're still here. And hey, Candy, good to see you here. So, yeah, 1991, that was 35 years ago. And that's when the 9-volt train system started. And to this day, the train exhibitors at conventions, hey Johnny, good to see you here, they still prefer to use the 9-volt trains because no one likes having to change their batteries in trains, especially at a Lego convention. So it's so easy to not have to worry about any of that and just use the 9-volt trains. And even still, almost every Lego convention has a great ball contraption, and a lot of that stuff is powered with the 9-volt speed regulator, which came out in 1991. They combined that with the Mind Storms, which came out 8 years afterwards. And yeah, there's something so easy about the 9-volt system that was created in 1991 that has stood the test of time, except for the actual wires, but the technology inside of the wires has stood the test of time. And yeah, it all started back in 1991. Good times. So before we end up scrolling, does anyone in chat have anything to say about the year 1991? Because as we're about to see, there are some really good sets in 1991, including my favorite set of all time. And if you've been watching the mayohosko channel for long enough, then you know what my favorite set is. Hey, Click Bricks, good to see you here. Today we are covering the year 1991 as a part of my golden age of Lego live stream series. We started all the way back at 1986, and we're going to finish up in a couple months or so at 1994. And so something else that I should make sure to ask whenever I do these golden age of Lego streams is, what do you think the golden age of Lego is? I think it's 1986 to 1994. I've heard some people say the whole of the global financial crisis was their golden age, because if you look back at 2008 to before the Lego movie came out, there were some really cool sets in there. Click says, if you think about it, most of the good sets were from 1996 to 2017, except for the crap they did in the late 90s and the early 2000s, which was when Lego CEO, which was when Lego's CEO was the first CEO to not be in the Christensen's family. Well, yeah, because the CEO that came in the mid 2000s reinvented the wheel after Lego was trying to do everything and failing at it all. I mean, for that time period, they were making baby toys and that got recalled. So the new CEO realized stop focusing on all this other stuff, focus on the brick. And then by the late 2000s, it was clear that Lego was going to avoid bankruptcy and created a renaissance of sets, so to speak. So, is there anything? So, are there years within that range that you consider the golden age? Because I've talking to other people who say that the mid 2010s is the golden age. Other people say the late 2010s is the golden age. The majority of people say the golden age is now. And people like me like specific years from the 20th century. Hoarder says his golden age is 2010 to 2018. So was that when you were really into collecting Star Wars then? Hey Dina, just to remind everyone, what do you think the golden age is? So when you go back and buy old sets, are those the years that they range from? Got my water besides me because I do a lot of talking in these streams. And also I'm home alone right now. So I can make as much noise as I want and no one's gonna get in my way. Oh, so you came back from your dark age in 2008, but then you stopped again in 2011. Okay. Mm. Hey, Alexandria, good to see you here. Um, just a reminder for everyone. What do you think the golden age of Lego is? I can't forget. No, sorry, I can't remember. Are you one of those people who say the golden age is now? So you got back into Lego before the Rona because the Rona was March 2020. And I'm glad you're here ever since because now we're close friends. Yeah, so the year 1991 was one of my favorite years for Lego ever, and we are going to start covering it because now we got some awesome people. Yo, Cliff, we're going to have a lot of fun during the 48-hour charity stream for Fairy Bricks. This isn't a part of that because they already had someone, but I'm going to do this no matter what. So 1991 was a very interesting year, and let's talk about it. So starting off with this 5-set bonus pack. You won't see sets like this anymore because Lego doesn't make. Well, they're not interested in bundling as many sets as they used to, because you got a town set, a castle set, a pirate set, and 2 space sets. That was set 1476. I mean, how cool would it have been to get 4 themes in the same packaging? There's a look at the old packaging for the base plates. This was something really interesting. The brick vacuum. I think there's some kind of rolling mechanism where as you roll this along, it acts as a scoop to pick up the bricks inside of the containment at the back. A very interesting piece of gear. Don't think any of these basic sets have a cypress tree. That's really the only basic sets I care about, are the ones that come with cypress trees. They were still making boats by this time, as in boats was its own theme. That's a rather luxurious speedboat at that time. My dad has a speedboat which looks kind of similar to this, I must say. Had the police boat as well. I still remember when Jane Bricks reviewed that set. Good memories. Also had a fireboat. They've been making police boats and fireboats for over 50 years. Lego has been making police boats and fireboats. And that's an interesting Technic set because the main build looks like a submarine, but it's interesting they use that excavator, a bucket at the front there. I can't remember when the Brick Kicks magazine came out, but that came out around the time of the early 90s. So you got some the 4 editions of that, and this was a time when the education theme was still called Didacta. There's some nice, interesting pieces in there for a farm. I don't think I might have played with this in kindergarten, but I don't remember playing with that in elementary school. Scroll down, and that's a basic. That's a system, a bricks equivalent, I guess. I don't think that's as good as the Duplo version. Now, this was an amazing set. It had the pieces to build those cars, and it had the road base plates. So a few things to note there. Look at all those trees in there. And also, this is the second generation of the roads because it has only the 7 studs for the sidewalk, not the 9 like the first generation, because it has the 2 studs on the side of the road for the bike lane. Because when these were introduced, Lego introduced the bicycle piece, not including some of the HO scale bicycles from the 50s and the 60s. And also this part right here, this yellow 1x4x3 panel with the 3 rotating arrows, that was from a refuse collection truck set from the 80s. So they repurposed that for a garbage truck. And you can see how mismatched that color is. Just wanted to point that out. And now, I've never seen this before. This is a Dacta space theme set. Looks like you got micro version of a spaceship, but these other vehicles are minifigure scale. But this rocket deployment isn't. I like the way they got that stanchion on the hinged brick, because that would have been accurate to when they had the shuttle program. And this is a really cool minifigure scale base. And look at all those space base plates in there. That's a nice house set. I do like that. And that's a nice people pack. Let's scroll through more of this. Got some Duplo buckets in there. I really don't have any nostalgia for Duplo unless I remember sets I would have played with in kindergarten or in the first couple years of elementary school. Like something would really have to jump out to me for me to want to talk about the Duplo theme in any of these years. There's a really cool set. The bathroom. Duplo had the best toilet pieces ever. There's a pink top on that one. How cool is that? And also you note the older Duplo logo where the ears were flat, while the new style Duplo logo, the ears are at a 45-degree angle. Actually, no, I remember playing with a different kitchen back in the day. The model team theme was still going around. Got this custom rally car. I've seen this in a lot of promotional material. It always stands out in the pamphlets. Had some nice small pirate sets. But this was one of the best years for pirates ever for two reasons. One, you got the Lagoon lockup, which was a nice kind of outpost 2 years after the El Dorado fortress. So I see this island as more of like a holding cell when they which would be used for incarcerating the pirates while you're trying to get some hard answers out of them in interrogation before you decide if you want to transport them to the more secure prison of the El Dorado fortress. So I like this, and this is my favorite Lego Pirate Island ever, the Rock Island Refuge. It's on that really nice raised base plate. A lot of people call this the ramp and pit base plate because you got the ramp where that jetty is on the side of, and you got the pit with which all of this structure is built on. Such a cool pirate island. I wish I had that set. I really do. Got some service packs. This 9-volt to battery, that was a rather interesting piece. I can't remember if the top of that had a lights and sounds attachment, but they don't use 9-volt technology anymore in sets, unfortunately. And around this time, they started selling these runway road base plates. They changed a little bit over the years, but they sold that for the majority. What I considered the golden age, that was the time when these runways were sold. And this was the second year of the M-Tron theme. So, but they only made this set. The mobile satellite uplink had that nice articulation piece in the middle there. And this is a set that I bought at Brick World Chicago when some of us went to the Bricks and minifigure store, the 2 Pilot Craft. And how awesome was it to get 2 M-Tron, the older Balactron, 2 of the newer Balactron, and a space police officer in the same set. How cool was that? And the space had changed up their style of their road base plates. You can see that it's now on a black base, not a grey base. And this is a set from my childhood, the Supernova 2. Thank you, a big bro. This is one of the sets I inherited from my older half brother. And this was actually I was technically right, because this is a secret set. So Lego advertised that you could combine 3 other M-Tron sets to build this big model. There was instructions somewhere in a magazine or a pamphlet or an idea book. I can't remember where, but it was very hard to get the instructions for that. It was very hard. And also, thank you, a big bro again, for the Allied Avenger. This was the year when the Blacktron 2 came out. The Alpha Centauri outpost was their main base. And this is another set that utilized the ramp and pit a base plate. And and I must say a lot of the Technic sets back then used way more of the Technic bricks than the lift arms, which they tend to use these days. So before we get into town, let's see what the chat is saying. Hey, 24, good to see you here. There's a lot of awesome looking sets. Hey, Billy, good to see you here. You like the ambulance. Did we skip past the ambulance? 50 years. Oh, yes. 50 years of hype. Absolutely. Well, you know what? Star Wars is going to turn 50 next year. That might be hard for some people to believe, but next year Star Wars is going to be 50 years old. Okay, let's get back to this. So, scroll down. So, back in these days, town had a racing theme, and I grew up with the number 4 car. This was the number 3 car. And this is a very interesting set. This was one of those promotional tie-in sets, because according to this description on Brickset, Arla was a Swedish dairy company, and the only things rare in this set is the Arla stickers. Everything else is common, like the way that they built the milk jugs on the crates. No, sorry, on the pallets. That might be one of the ugliest police cars you'll ever see. This always caught my eye when I read the Lego history book. That always caught my eye. They were still selling the monorails back then, and they had a track accessory pack. And this is probably, honestly, I like this accessory pack more than the Futuron monorail, because you get the switch tracks. How cool was it to get the switch tracks? That's why the Unitron monorail from 1994, which will be in the final episode of this series, is my favorite of the monorails, because it has the switch track. Back then, they still had the lights and sounds system, although they changed the logo from the lights and sounds to electric because they were advertising the 9-volt system. So all of the back of this vehicle, and you notice a lot of vehicles in this time had this space type cockpit canopy for their windscreen. It was a kind of a futuristic vibe Lego was trying to pull off in the early 90s, which really didn't pay off, and these sets haven't aged well as a result. But you see this police striping. That's how big the battery box in that set was. And also, something to note about this set is not only are these firemen cousins of Masigfig, but also notice the old airport logo on a 1x4x3 panel. That's noteworthy. Plus the lights and sound system. And also, another set. Thank you, Big Bro. This was my first Lego fire helicopter. And I pieced this back together a few years ago, and I'll always have big nostalgia for the set. I bought the set on eBay, the diesel dumper. Really like that old dumper piece. They don't make that piece anymore for obvious reasons. And this was an interesting set. This was the first police station they made to be placed near water, because it had a police boat. And also, as we scroll down here, you'll see a lot of sets have those road types where it's 2 bricks high. One of them is a straight road, the other one is a ramp. There were train stations and harbors which used those pieces. And speaking of harbours, we got the two harbours right here. This was the intercoastal seaport. So this used a regular crane with the boom arm. But this... No, sorry, so this was the launch and load sea. No, so this was the intercoastal seaport. You can tell because it has the yellow stanchions and the more traditional style crane. And this was the launch and load seaport. You can tell the difference because it had the red stanchions and a stevedore style crane, which you see in a lot of harbours these days. And for that reason, and because I have nostalgia going to the harbour and seeing stevedore cranes at the harbour, I like the launch and load seaport more. This was an interesting concept and included an interesting piece. This was the diesel daredevil. So like I thought to get into racing trucks back then. So they got this really cool spoiler that is adjustable. And they have this even more awesome some exhaust to muffler piece, and you can see it has the two bar attachments to go inside of clips next to the engine. That's a cool piece, and that's a rather fun set. And so now we're getting into the trains. So it's weird, Brickset has an inventory problem. But before we talk about the inventory problem, let's see what's going on in chat. It was with... Oh, yes, I understand now. Yes, the Dacta theme had some really cool road packs back then. So the year 1991, you notice something? The World City theme didn't come out till 2003. Back in 1991, they had the system theme. So they got the image for the curved rails right, but they used a newer image for the straight rails. Because back in 1991, it would have had the system packaging, not the World City packaging for the straight rails. The switch tracks got the packaging right on Brickset. Someone needs to update that. I might have to tell... You mean? Yeah, sorry. Sorry about that, folks. My Mac ran out of charge. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm charging again. Fortunately, I was by my charger. Okay, cool. I'm back. Let's get back here. Yeah. So they got the packaging for the switch tracks, right? And I've seen a lot of people make duplicates of this blue hopper because it's small. It doesn't need the normal train base. It doesn't need the bogey wheels, and so people are able to use pieces from their collection minus the sticker for the train logo to piece this together really quickly. And it had this little dumping pit on the side that has the black 1x1 round bricks and the yellow 1x1 round bricks. So personally, I like to see the black stuff as coal and the yellow stuff as wheat. You could interpret that as corn if you want to. as well. See, there's the speed regulator. Something to notice is that the 9-volt trains in the system packaging had this really interesting blue mountain with a tunnel that looks like it goes into the middle of a volcano or something. Really interesting packaging. This was the first crocodile locomotive, set 4551. They made one as the hobby train at the end of the 9-volt era, and they made that brown crocodile locomotive from 2019 or something. And this is my favorite train station of all time, the Metro Station, set 4554. They made a red version of this yellow Metro Station in 1996, which we won't be covering because that's not in my golden age. But yeah, more instant of those two high bricks, ramps, and roads. Such a cool set. You can see some of the interior detail in there. Such a cool set, and it looks so grandiose compared to some of the more flat designs. But this is my favorite Lego set of all time. It is set 4558, the Metroliner. And there's an alternate build in this set, and they actually give you instructions to build it. But I would never, because the Metroliner is clearly based on American Amtrak trains. You got the grey body, you got the black roof, and across the whole length of the train, you have the raw America, very highly patriotic red, white, and blue horizontal stripes. So underneath the cab window and underneath the passenger windows, you can see that the stripe is a build, but on the doors and to where this front piece attaches, they are this part is a sticker for where the front piece attaches so that you can get the lights at the front of the train. I believe on the doors they are printed to keep that nice consistent red, white, and blue stripe. So, America! And this was a weird... This is one of the more weirder freight train sets because it was one where the locomotive looked more like a shunter than something you would see on the main line. But it has a really nice goods van, a boxcar at the back that had the sliding doors. And I always found it interesting how they put a shipping container, the same that you saw in the intercoastal seaport and the launch and load seaport, in to a gondola instead of on a flatbed. Like this rolling stock in the middle is a flatbed, and you could either put the shipping container that had the tractor or that pallet that had the barrels. You could put them in either or. However, you would be more likely to put that on a flatbed. On the box art, they got this forklift loading the tractor into the gondola. I would have thought you'd want to include some 1x1 round bricks to be a commodity inside there, like coal or stone. Probably not a food product, but something that's unedible. I think would work better in that blue gondola. That's just me. And yeah, that was all of the 131 something sets for 1990. So yeah, I don't need to go scrolling for my favorite set of the year this time because this is my favorite set of all time, the Metroliner, and also convenient that it's at the bottom of the page. So yes, we're going to leave off on the Metroliner. Oh shit! I wasn't sharing. Crap. God damn it! I need to reshare again. Sorry, I don't know what I was doing. Sorry about all of that. Where did we leave off? I'll have to quickly recount this. Yeah, so we last left off. Sorry, apologies that I wasn't sharing through all of that. Let me quickly recap. So the straight rails have the World City packaging, not the system packaging. The blue hopper is really massable. I like the stuff in there. Um, the box art for the 9-volt trains wasn't a rather artistic decision. This started. Well, this was the first of 3 crocodile locomotives. This is my favorite train station. This is my favorite set ever. It's interesting that they used a shunter locomotive in a freight train set. So just try to picture everything I just said, forgetting that I didn't remember to share the screen. I apologize about that, folks. Hopefully, well, I'm going to treat my audience with enough intelligence to be able to put 2 and 2 together. But but as always, when I cover a certain year within the golden age, I do encourage everyone, if they want to look at these sets more in depth, to go to Brickset yourself. You can search by the years. Hey General Tron, good to see you here, buddy. Says with the new parts came out new build styles, but there were some old styles from back then too. Yes, the early 90s had an explosion in new pieces for themes like the trains. But and that's why the early 90s was probably my favorite time in Lego history, because you had a lot of the traditional build styles, and they were introducing new concepts that they would run with for the next 10 years. So it's like that perfect blend between what can I do with relatively basic pieces, and also what can I do if I use these super crazy, extravagant new molds that have so much detail in them. Um, okay, that's good. That's good. Um, the backhoe, yeah. So if anyone has any questions about some of these sets, I can go back and try to address them. This backhoe. Uh, there were backhoes in previous years, and there's a backhoe in the next year that were sold separately. But this design of a backhoe with that trailer, I believe this design was exclusive to this bogey wheeled gondola that's red, compared to this fixed axle gondola which was in the blue color. But there are elements from previous. There are elements from backhoes in previous years, which were and design concepts which were recycled into the backhoe. This set officially was called Railroad Tractor Flatbed, which is a very bad name, because it's not a tractor, it's a backhoe, and it's not a flatbed, it's a gondola. And with the way that they got that a backhoe's front loader bucket tilted in, looks like it would be perfect to pick up some 1x1 round bricks to load in there. Anything else anyone wants to talk about? Think the new parts are great. Can't go backwards when it comes to that. Loved old Lego when that was all there, but wouldn't want to go backwards. See, that's how I feel about the parts evolution, not necessarily the designs of sets. Because I think the designs of sets these days, they're very expansive, and they have so many cool details. Like, I'm really looking forward to get the new Michael Schumacher set, but for the simplicity of a child's toy. There's something I think that's really special about the early 90s. Tron says, built a mech recently done with newer parts and old mech style, a few new building techniques. So by old mech style, which theme of sets are you talking about? Hi Hive, good to see you lurking around. Can't wait for Pure Rant Fury as a part of the 48-hour charity stream, raising money for the Fairy Bricks charity. Hive's going to be a part of it. My Saturday night live stream is going to be part of it. And there's a whole bunch of other awesome streamers who are also a part of the 48-hour charity stream. I asked if this could be part of it, but someone had already reserved at that time slot. So I'm going solo. This is an independent stream. Okay, what's your handle on Instagram, Tron? You got me interested in wondering what your mechs are. What's your hand? Okay, so general_Tron on Instagram. At general_Tron. I forget if we DM each other. Okay, yeah, we DM each other, just not in a while. Oh, nice! You got some green marks. That gives me vibes to see Tron. That green you got going on there. I can see a blend of the vintage pieces, and looks like the newer style Mixel's ball joint in there. Oh, and you got a space station. That's really cool. I didn't know you made those mocks over there. And you know what? Because you've been making some space mocks recently, I'm gonna give you a follow. Yeah. So keep on making those space mocks. It's interesting how you're using the green as that a base color. I don't see too many people using green like that. Green, for those who don't know, green is my favorite color. Let's get back to my favorite set, shall we? As the closeout, the Metroliner. Let me see if I can blow this up. Oopsie, just exited out of it. See if I can blow this up to be in the center of the screen. Yep, there it is. Nah, if we scroll to the left, that'll want to get out of the screen. So now my obligatory question is, what was everyone's favorite set from 1991? I should be asking that whenever I leave off on my favorite set of the year. Yeah, we didn't cover any sets that had the Technic figures from this year. We have in previous years, and we will in future episodes of the Golden Age of Lego. But there was no Technic figures from this year for some reason. Yeah, they do have their old. They have their own system of joints. I forget how long they sold the Technic figs for. Technic figs were continued to about the early 2000s. Actually, I do remember reading somewhere they were sold from 1986 to 2001. or something. Let me go to Bricklink very quickly and see if I can confirm that. Gonna go to minifigures. Scroll down to T. There's no tech. Oh yeah, there's Technic. Sort by year released. Go. Yes, 1986. Okay, so the last Technic figures were made in 1999. Actually, no, sorry, I was wrong. Yeah, so they came out in 1996, and the last Technic figures were made in 2000, and they would have. I thought I read 2001 somewhere, so maybe they got a 2-year run and were retired at the end of 2001. That maybe that's what they meant when they said that. But yeah, we'll make this an hour episode. But yeah, I'll always have nostalgia for 1991 because of some sets that my big bro had, and also the fact that the 9-volt trains came out and had my favorite set of all time. You wish they continued Technic figs. They could made great giants in Castle. That's a good idea. To reuse them as a giant. You could also use them if you made a Jack and the Beanstalk mock, I guess. You could squint your eyes, use your imagination to use a Technic figure from this era as the giant from Jack and the Beanstalk. I guess you could. Any stop motion filmers out there, you're welcome to use that idea and give me credit in the description of your video. Yeah, I think the Technic figures were retired when Lego was trying to avoid bankruptcy. Another one of the bankruptcy casualties, along with some of the sand colors in the Great Color Purge of 2003, which was 12 years after 1991. Interesting that the Metroliner was actually re-released in the Legends theme from the early 2000s. Actually, I want to scroll up and see if I remember other sets that were re-released in the Legends theme. Off by memory, I don't have the definitive sets. Trying to go off by memory. Maybe the Lagoon lockup. I know the El Dorado Fortress was. Or was it? Just got second guessing about that. I'm gonna need to clarify some stuff after I finish this stream. Now, I think the only set from 1991 that was re-released in the Legends theme was the Metroliner. Billy had probably one or two of the small sets. You definitely remember the big van from the included advertisement. Which of the big vans are you talking about? Which of the big vans? Mm. Because the vans back then were pretty small. The model team one. The rally car. The rally car or whatever it was. Let me scroll back up here. Yeah, I like the highway rig. The set that was just called the big truck, and the wheel and hole. No, sorry, the wheel and wheel hauler, or whatever it was called. Those were my three favorite of the model team sets. I think the blue Furing, that was a part of the Legends theme. Where's that model team set? Here. Oh no, it was a van. Yeah, the custom rally van. Yeah, had the. I'm guessing that 23 was a print, but maybe that rally van lettering at the bottom and that custom lettering underneath the window, that might have been stickers. I don't have any proof of what of that, but that's what it looks like to me. And also, just notice something on the box art. They got this section of this tire to be brown, so they used. So that's false. That's false advertising. They got it look like the tires have picked up some mud from the box art. That's interesting. Whoa. Whoa, that just got way big. It was a model team. So you'll appreciate this, Cliff. A model team was to the late 80s and the 90s what became creator expert and icons in the late 2000s, because it all started off with that brick built Volkswagen a Beetle that had all those rare dark blue colors at the time. I think some of those pieces are still exclusive to dark blue in that set. But then in 2015, they came out with the much smoother medium azure Volkswagen Beetle. And I think around that time, that's when the creator expert, then Icons cars, became a yearly theme. Yeah, you're right about that. It was about a 50-50 split. Yeah, we can all dream, particularly if you run trains at a Lego convention. Because as I was saying at the start of the stream, 9-volt trains have stood the test of time. No one likes having to change batteries unless you get, and not a lot of people like to pay for batteries over and over again either, which is why I invest in the rechargeable batteries myself. I don't use alkaline batteries anymore. Speaking about exclusive blue parts, who's buying that mask container ship just for the parts? If you like the medium azure, then that might be a good set for you. And I'm not going to rule myself out from buying that set either, because I really like the mask sets. Um, I think we covered a mask set in the golden age of Lego. So go back, go back into the playlist, watch the previous episodes to see if you can remember. Hey, Brickable World, good to see you here. We're just about to end this stream. We covered the year 1991 in this golden age of Lego stream. This is my favorite set of 1991. Do you have a favorite set of 1991, Brickable World? Were you even collecting Lego back in 1991? Because my older half brother was, which is why I have some of the sets from 1991. Yeah, they retired the mask blue color when they retired the Triple E cargo ship. It would make sense to me that the new mask blue is just medium azure. They look very similar in color. And by color comparison, mask blue is to medium azure what the old light gray is to light bluish gray. It's more dull. Well, yeah, they weren't going to reintroduce a new color just for one set. They weren't gonna do that. And I know a lot of mask mock builders who gave up the ghost because mask blue is so expensive and just build with the medium azure color because they look close enough. So personally, the color doesn't matter to me. But if it does, if it does to you, then okay. I honestly have more medium azure than I know what to do with. It is because there were less than a dozen mask sets. There were some tractor trailers, there were some ships, and of course there was the train that came out in 2011. So we're going to get out the YouTube redirect to someone part of the 48-hour charity stream. The Brick Adjuster is going live. I forget if they're doing a live stream or if it's a pre-recorded thing, because I saw they were talking with someone from the UK, and in the UK they've started doing pre-recorded stuff. So watch it at your own risk. Personally, I do not like that style at all. That's just me. You don't need to tell Brick Adjuster about that. That stays between us in chat. That stays between us. He can do whatever he wants on his channel. That doesn't mean I have to watch it though. So, but I do want people to get involved with the 48-hour charity stream. So, gonna put out the YouTube redirect to the Brick Adjuster. So, so at the end of the stream, if you have autoplay enabled, you will be automatically redirected over there. If you don't, you will see a message at the top of the chat to go to his stream. So thank you for thank you for watching this stream. It is appreciated. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. I'll see you on my next live stream at my normal time at Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern as a part of the 48-hour charity stream. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for